The creative process has been studied, theorized, and taught for thousands of years. But there's something they're all missing that changes everything. When you convert the creative process to numbers, it equals human being. You're not learning about the creative process, you are the creative process. I'm Zenith Bell. Welcome back to What Does That Mean on the Word Cosmology channel. I know what I have to share is completely different from anything you've heard before. That's because it is. Stay with me till the end. Here's a quick reminder of what we've covered to help this sink in. Human equals creative participant. Both have a 483 numeric pattern. A creative participant isn't something to achieve, it's what being human already means. And pay attention and create are both 257. When you pay attention, you're creating. Today, I'm showing you something hidden that reframes everything. Let's convert the creative process to numbers. So let me show you how we do that. We're going to convert the letters to numbers. Each letter corresponds with a number. And we're going to add the consonants together, which are equal to 40. And we always reduce to a single digit. And then when we add the vowels together, get 36. And that's equal to 3 plus 6, which is equal to 9. And then we add the vowels and consonants together to get the total. So we have 9 plus 4 equals 13, which then is equals 1 plus 3, which is equal to 4. So the numeric pattern for creative process is 9, 4, 4. Now look at this. Human being is also equal to 9, 4, 4. Mind, 944, cause, and soul. They're identical. All are 944 when you convert them to numbers. This gives us a multidimensional view of what you are. Human being, mind, soul, creative process, all the same thing. Some spiritual traditions understood this and say you are God. But God became an identity to claim instead of what you actually are. However, the numbers show what they meant. When human being equals soul equals mind equals the creative process, it's not something to become. It's what you already are. And with this conversion, you can see what some may have understood. Not metaphorically, mathematically. What we're seeing is harmonic resonance. The same principle Pythagoras discovered in music applies to language and reality. Now, Walter Russell, a scientist and cosmologist from the early 1900s, described reality in a way that seemed mystical. He said, the universe is substanceless, that everything is motion, creating the appearance of solid matter. Here's what he saw. The phrase substance of motion also equals 944. He wasn't being mystical. He was seeing precisely. Everything you think is solid, your body, this room, physical objects, isn't substance at all. It's motion. The creative process expressing itself as the appearance of form. With these patterns, you can see you're not a biological machine made of solid matter, observing a creative process happening around you. As a human being with awareness, you are the creative process. You are mind expressing itself in form. And Russell said this directly with this quote, mind thinking sets divided idea into two-way opposed motion to produce the effect of simulating idea by giving form to it. I know that's a mouthful. But you are mind thinking itself into the appearance of form through motion. The simplicity is profound. There's one more pattern that completes this. Life's creative interchange also is 944. So we have the creative process, human being, soul, substance of motion, mind, and life's creative interchange, all with a numeric pattern of 944. Life isn't something happening to you. Life is the creative interchange, and you are that interchange. When you breathe, that's the creative process. When you think, that's mind expressing through the creative process. When your heart beats, that's the substance of motion maintaining itself. When you interact with anything, that's life's creative interchange. There's no separation between you and the creative process. There never was. The separation was a misunderstanding created by language. And to put all of this into perspective, let's look at consciousness, what physics calls the hard problem of consciousness. Consciousness equals 2, 2, 4. Position 4. Consciousness, mind, human being, creative process are all at position 4. This reveals something profound. You as a human being are the focal point for the creative process. Uncoincidentally, when you convert human to numbers, it equals focal point. So let's put this down here. Human equals 4, 8, 3, which is equal to focal point. This sheds light on why cause shares the same pattern. You're the point where the creative process organizes into a specific expression. This destroys every framework that positions you as separate from creation. When you study these patterns, here's something that happens. You notice when people think they're speaking about unity, but they're actually expressing separation. For example, manifestation teachings say you create your reality. They're half right. But that phrase places you as separate from reality, trying to manipulate it. And on the other end of the spectrum, scientific materialism says consciousness emerges from matter, but that's backwards. Russell said it most simply. Motion creates what appears as matter, and the word patterns show us that substance of motion is equal to mind in the creative process. Consciousness doesn't emerge from the creative process. Consciousness is the creative process at position 4. With this understanding, you can see that spiritual teachings that say transcend the physical miss the point entirely. The physical is an unfolding process, a living system created by mind, which is identical with the creative process when we convert it to numbers. When you recognize you are the creative process, not someone learning about it, everything shifts. You stop trying to control outcomes because control implies separation. You stop seeking to understand reality because understanding implies distance. Without being able to see these relationships in language, you think you're something else entirely. Do the common ideas we all hear, like you're a biological organism trying to survive in a hostile universe, and you're misled to identify as your past experiences, your childhood, your trauma, your achievements. Plus, you're told to define yourself through your job, your relationships, your roles. I'm a mother, engineer, entrepreneur. And most crippling, you've been led to believe you are thoughts and emotions. We say things like, I'm anxious, I'm a positive person. We are told that we're separate beings observing reality from behind our eyes. With these limited identities, we can only make up stories about what's happening. And these stories keep you confused, stressed, exhausted from trying to figure everything out, while at the same time feeling like you're always missing something. But here's what happens when you recognize you are the creative process, that you are mind and life's creative interchange. The story making quiets, not because you stop engaging with life. You're fully active, fully participating, but the quality transforms. You're no longer a separate person trying to control outcomes. You recognize the creative process naturally organizes, and you let go of trying to fix yourself. You're not your thoughts and emotions. Your consciousness, the creative process becoming aware of itself. So you let go of managing everything and trying to force outcomes. And instead, you manage from surrender. Surrender to being the focal point where the creative process unfolds, experiences, and integrates. Same activities, different qualities of being. And that shift from story making to pattern recognition, that's where stress dissolves. Not because life gets easier, but because you're no longer fighting against what you actually are. Let me tell you why this is called word cosmology. Cosmology studies the universe's fundamental structure, the organizing principles of reality itself. When you convert words to numbers, the patterns show you the structure, and the relationships show you how creation unfolds. Words directly reveal the cosmology of reality. The language matrix is a cosmological structure. And word cosmology shows you that you're not a separate observer studying creation from the outside. You're the creative process studying itself, mind recognizing itself, consciousness experiences itself through the language matrix that is reality's organizing structure. This is the foundation. You're not learning about the creative process, you are it. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. What I can tell you after 30 years is that when you explore these patterns, something happens. Your awareness builds. You start seeing more clearly how life works. And as your awareness expands, you feel freer. Not free from life, but free to engage with it. Free to appreciate what's actually happening rather than constantly fighting against stories of what you think should be happening. You can continue this exploration at wordcosmology.com. It's really cool. There's a free calculator, a free ebook, and a growing list of word analysis showing how this all connects. The links are in the description. The creative process is what you are. And exploring word cosmology, converting words to numbers and recognizing patterns reveals organizing principles that enable you to see how the creative process actually works. As your awareness expands, you discover freedom, not as something to achieve, but as what naturally emerges when you engage with life from recognition of what you actually are. Let's explore. And next time, we're exploring identity, how you became confused about who you are, and what numbers reveal about identity's role in the creative process. This is a good one you don't want to miss.